Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Hitesh Kumar Meena. I have completed my PhD from Central University of Gujarat in the subject National Security Studies, and I have hold dual master degree. First in Sociology, second in Defense and Strategic Studies. I have also qualified UGC NET exam in November 2017 during my master itself. Here we will discuss and understand some of the topic of the sociology which are faced by the student as a difficult and they are not able to understand easily and quickly. So we will from today onwards we will start with the topic sociology as a science, sociology as a subject emerged in 1835 by Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte is also known as the father of sociology, and he incepted this subject after Twin Revolution. Twin Revolution means Industrial and French Revolution both. As during Industrial and French Revolution, the social order has been go through a tremendous changes. That's why people were thinking we required a subject which can understand, explain, and provide the solution of the problems of the society. And before the revolution, we faced the Renaissance Enlightenment period. That has created a huge impact on the mind of every single person. That only science and scientific temperament can lead us to a progressive nature of the society. That's why in the initial age in 1835 itself, sociology was also considered as a social physics, where some of the argument and phenomena will be there, and you will, according to them, you will able to understand and explain the nature of the society. So, this subject in the initial phase was considered completely a science subject rather than a social science. After 1838, the so many scholars done multiple researches realize that it is not a science, it's a social science, and the name has been changed from social physics to sociology, which is understood as a science of society or study of the society. It's a European subject, that's why it has a more understanding and pattern that from the European world. That's why we face the problem in this subject that maximum explanation or understanding from English background. So here we will use the bilingual method to explain the topic. जैसे हमने बात करी कि हमारा आज का विषय सोशियोलॉजी एज ए साइंस, समाजशास्त्र एक विज्ञान है, के अनुरूप हम अपना वार्तालाप करेंगे. ये विषय 1835 में शुरू होता है जब अगस्त कोम्ते ने इस विषय की नींव रखी, और अगस्त कोम्ते को समाजशास्त्र का पिता भी कहा जाता है, क्योंकि औद्योगिक क्रांति और फ्रांस की क्रांति के बाद जब समाज एक बहुत बड़े परिवर्तन की से गुजर रहा था, उस समय लोगों को लगा कि अगर ऐसा कोई विषय होना चाहिए जो ये समझा सके, बता सके तथा व्याख्या कर सके कि समाज में किस प्रकार की वस्तु की आवश्यकता है, कौन कौन सी समस्याएं हैं और उन्हें किस प्रकार से समाधान ढूंढा जा सकता है. औद्योगिक क्रांति के पहले एनलाइटनमेंट पीरियड आता है, तो जिस समय साइंस का, विज्ञान का बहुत बड़ा दबदबा रहा, तो समाजशास्त्र को भी प्रथम में एक विज्ञान ही माना गया, तो इसका नाम समाज भौतिकी रखा गया. 1838 में जाके इसका वापस से नामकरण किया गया और इसको बनाया गया समाजशास्त्र. समाज का अध्ययन का विषय, समाज का वैज्ञानिक अध्ययन का विषय. जैसा आज का हमारा विषय पहला टॉपिक है सोशियोलॉजी साइंस, तो हम सबसे पहले ये डिस्कस करेंगे कि सोशियोलॉजी को साइंस मान लेने से वाई इट इज कंसिडर साइंस क्या है. पहले कि साइंस मान तो लिया है, बट साइंस होता क्या है उसका हमें बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग होना चाहिए. तो पहला टॉपिक है हमारा, तो उसका डेफिनेशन साइंस का, साइंस इज अ systematic enterprise which that build or organize the knowledge in a form of testable explanation and prediction about the world. विज्ञान वह एक क्रमबद्ध अध्ययन है जिसके माध्यम से आप समाज में किसी भी चीज़ का परीक्षण कर सकते हैं तथा आने वाले भविष्य के बारे में अपनी भविष्यवाणी भी निर्धारित कर सकते हैं। तो विज्ञान में आप देखिएगा, कहीं पे भी कोई भी परीक्षण किया जाता है, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर हो या आपके घर के पास हो या किसी भी पार्ट में, उसका फीचर सेम होता है। सोशियोलॉजी इज़ नॉट लाइक दैट. सोशियोलॉजी dealing may be differ understanding of your from the European world, because sociology deals with the human aspect, that is 3D. Science used to work in a 2D dimension, where sociology works in a 3D dimension, where third dimension is human being itself. 3D dimension keep changing and keep striking all the time. That's why we need more precise and more cautious regarding doing any work. So what are the characteristics of science which can be used at the time of explaining sociology of science? First is the empirical. Science always deal with the data, hypothesis and concept. It is not dealing with your some imagination thought that which will work and you will conduct the study. Whereas in social sciences, you don't require that much data. As in humanities itself, you don't require data. Without data you can talk. But if you are talking in science, even in social sciences, because term is science itself is attaching, so you require data to present your argument and to make your argument is correct. Second, objectivity. In humanities, you can be subjective and you can put your argument without any basis or your own opinion. But in sciences, you can't put. You have to be very objective. If you are saying something, that must be followed by some verified data or information which can be cross-checked. Third, reliability. Sociology and science demand reliability. If you are saying that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, that should be reliable and it replicate also. If you are saying one thing here, so it should be replicated in other world also. That is the basic nature of the sociology. So when you are talking about sociology as a science, that means you are saying that sociology have a empirical data. Second, objectivity. Third, reliability. Fourth, replicate. Data can be replicated now again. So who will come in sociology in the initial days? Auguste Comte, as I said clearly, he provided the hierarchy of sciences, in which he put sociology in the topmost. He said sociology is the most complex subject because every single thing is changing on a daily basis. Durkheim put whole sociology as the understanding of social fact. And what are the social fact? They are some natural ingredients which are existing outside the human mind and influence the human being to act in that scenario. So it means whoever come in the initial age of sociology, they are completely, as we have discussed earlier, that it are the part of the Renaissance and Enlightenment, that science will provide the solution to each problem. That's why sociology as a science developed in initial days. So what? But in 1838 it was considered that sociology is not a science. That's why name has been changed. Now what we should do? So sociology as a science means sociology will conduct and provide the explanation of every single topic in a scientific method. So we need to understand what is scientific method. Scientific method is a systematic and objective attempt to study a phenomena or any general principle. So what are the things which have been part of the scientific method? First, observation. You observe the thing. सिंपल एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं कि जब समाज में आप देख रहे हैं शादी होती है, विवाह होता है. As we were discussing in the scientific method deal with some of the basic features like reliability, predictability, observation, empirical data, value neutral. So if you are following all these things in sociology, that means sociology is a science, or you can claim your work is a scientific. That's why in the sociology we provide the scope for 5% plus and minus during the research, because as we discussed 3D dimension in sociology, 3D is a human being intervention is there. So your data, if your result is coming with a 5% plus and minus margin, that means you have done very good work. Now we will move further to how these are the things dealing with that on the daily basis of the human life. When you are discussing the sociology in a scientific manner, so you need to understand what is the research methodology adopted. In sociology, research methodology deal with the two parts. First, macro. Second, micro. Whole sociology itself is divided in two parts from my point of view. When you are talking about a macro, you are talking about a large things and a large stuff, which you can further divide in a positivist approach, that is known as functionalism. Second is a conflict. But second part is a micro, where you're talking about a small event, dealing with the small things in society, as we people call interpretative, like symbolic interaction, ethnomethodology, phenomenology. Means contemporary or modern sociology mainly focus on micro part, whereas classical or initial sociology deal with the macro. Because earlier problem was not ki why particular person react and why particular group of people react in a particular scenario. That time we need to understand society at a large itself. That's why sociology developed from a functional perspective, conflict perspective in the initial days. So what is positivism? Positivism or functionalism deal that you have a large data evidences, and on the basis of that you formulate some ideas and conclude your argument, which can be observed by multiple people in a multiple time. That we can inductive technique of reasoning is being used. So positivism deal from that point of view, which has been criticized by a long list of scholars: Peter Berger, Max Weber, Habermas, and we will discuss. If you people like and want to know more in the detail, just write a comment in the next video. We will make sure that we will discuss each argument. Second is conflict perspective. Conflict perspective, I can give a basic of functionalism, then we come to conflict. Functionalism में each part of the society, समाज का हर हिस्से का अपना एक महत्व है. वो अपना एक काम करता है जिससे समाज कंटिन्यू चला रहता है. Functionalism focus on the functional work and importance of every single part of the society. Whereas in conflict perspective, society is divided in two parts, upper and lower, section 1 and section 2, and both the sections are fighting with each other over some ideological issues, due to some resource scarcity, to claim their possession, and to uh, demand more and more autonomy in their own context. Simply, conflict perspective started the writing of Karl Marx. And Marxian sociology deal with the idea that one section, that is capitalist, is suppressing the marginalized section. And the second part we discuss is the micro, that is small scale, that is phenomenology and all these things. In that, every single thing can not supposed to be explained at very large terms, but deal in a human to human level. Like somebody when don't want to doesn't say anything to you, but they use some symbols, and you come to know that its meaning is you should be forbidden or allowed to do the task. And symbols develop over the period of time, and it can be changed. That's why symbolic interaction perspective in the sociology come in a contemporary world more focused, not in an initial day. Because initial sociology was not focused key which symbol is used by the particular person to communicate what is meaning. Simply example, if I am using these two finger in such a scenario means a victory. How you come to know? Because over the period of time, we developed the meaning that when somebody is using the two fingers and in this particular scenario, that means victory is coming to them. Last part of scientific method deal from positive or macro with three major perspective: ontology, epistemology, and methodology. Methodologically, ontologically deal about does particular thing exist or not. In sociology, you when you're talking is God is exist or not, that is ontology. Epistemologically deal the genesis ki how it is come, how it is existing in today's scenario, what are the phases it will go through. Methodologically, when you are explaining the thing from method ki first identify the problem, second literature review, third writing your argument, research objective which is called, then research question you have formulate, then you collect the data according to your objectives, then you use the methodology which research design itself ki how what are the design you will be used, and what is the sampling pattern you will take, and what are the method you are using to data collection and data analysis and coding. Then you data analyze करते हैं. After that you start writing your argument or report or conclusion. That is coming from a positive approach. But in micro, you deal with the phenomenology. In phenomenology, which is developed by Alfred, the deal ki how individual is constructing the reality on the basis of the philosophical or phenomenological knowledge. That if you are developing, construct the idea ki a particular scenario, people should laugh, they should happy. How he consider reality, that is the phenomenological aspect. An argument from the people should come from that side only in a phenomenology. And the last part which is come into that is ethnomethodology in the micro part. Ethnomethodology deal ki examine and understand the phenomena and the process which are used by a particular individual to construct the reality. It means phenomenology deal ki events used by the person to construct the reality. Whereas in ethnomethodology, you will examine those processes which are adopted by an individual to construct the reality. इसका मतलब है कि फिनोमेनोलॉजी में आप ये समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि कौन सी ऐसी कार्य विधि हैं जिनके अनुसार एक व्यक्ति एक सामाजिक सत्यता अपने दिमाग में निर्माण करता है और किस प्रकार से करता है। एथनोमेथोडोलॉजी में आप उसने जो सामाजिक सत्यता बनाई है उसके पीछे से कौन से मेथड यूज़ किए होंगे, क्या सिचुएशन रही होगी, उसका परीक्षण करते हैं। इसीलिए इन सोशियोलॉजी द माइक्रो पार्ट विच आर द डीलिंग एथनोमेथोडोलॉजी फिनोमेनोलॉजी नॉट रन फॉर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड, क्योंकि सोशियोलॉजी का फोकस रहा कि सोसाइटी एट लार्ज पे क्या करना है, मेजर पर्सपेक्टिव को कैसे डील करना है, ये है। दूसरा एस्पेक्ट आता है सोशियोलॉजी साइंस में डील करने के लिए। कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि जब आप रिसर्च मेथड का जो 8 स्टेप हैं उन्हें जब आप फॉलो करते हैं, समस्या को ढूंढना, आइडेंटिफिकेशन द प्रॉब्लम, सेकंड लिटरेचर रिव्यू रिलेटेड टू दैट सोशल प्रॉब्लम, थर्ड preparing the objective, fourth research question, fifth prepare the research design, sixth data collection, seventh data analysis, and eighth report writing. If you are following that pattern also in sociology, means your work is a scientific method which you are followed through these 8 steps. So your work is known as a scientific work, and you claim that it is sociology is a science because you are following these 8 steps. Okay, thank you, and we will meet in the next topic with some other part of the subject. Thank you.